Well, happy Friday, which means it is time for another Friday Live. Yay! All right. Hey, as you can probably see from the title, so I'm streaming out. I have to put a title in when I do it from the streaming software, but I wanted to talk about what is your glass ceiling? Okay. Now, you might be looking at that and thinking, well, glass ceiling, I've kind of heard that before. It's like women that can't get up in corporations, right? Isn't that what the term is about? Well, that's usually what people are talking about, but I want to talk about it kind of in a little different way because whether you realize it or not, you have glass ceilings in your life. There are things that you want to get to, right? There's things that you want to do, but there tends to be a barrier, something that is stopping you. And I know it's really frustrating, right? Because like you can see, that's why the glass ceiling is such a good analogy. You can see through, you can see to the other side, but you just can't quite get there. Okay. And so I want to talk about that here for a few minutes today. So if you're on with me live, then leave some comments, ask questions, do things like that. We can interact as well. But before I get into that, I just wanted to because I realized that a lot of times, especially on Facebook now, I've been more active on Facebook, and a lot of times, people have seen some of my pictures and other stuff that I posted, and they're like, "Jason, what do you even do for a living?" So I just wanted to spend just a minute on that to kind of clarify because I understand sometimes it can be a little confusing because I own multiple businesses, which means I do several different things, right? So I do. I've been a trainer. I've literally been all over the world many times. Which is one of the reasons why a lot of people would see my pictures of me posting in different places in the world when I was doing training. If you've been familiar with me from a technical perspective, you probably know me from some of the work that I did as an executive coach with internal auditors, risk managers, compliance people, things like that. But now what I'm doing more too is those businesses are still going. I still have an online training business with hundreds of courses on some of those more technical things. But what I'm excited about now and what I'm talking more about is some of the executive coaching that I'm doing with professionals and executives around smashing the glass ceiling without conforming, right? By actually using some mindset practices and conditioning. Now, I know some of those words might be a little confusing to you, but hang with me. You'll understand more. They're specific words for specific reasons on what I'm doing. But effectively today, I wanted to just talk briefly about smashing the glass ceiling, whatever that might be for you. So let's just talk about what some of those might be. Now, the glass ceiling term, again, as I said at the beginning of the video, that term was really kind of used as an analogy, especially for women in corporations who they would move up and then they would just kind of get stopped. Yeah, a lot of times at the director or vice president level, and they were never able to get up to like the C-suite, right? Now it's gotten a little bit better, but it still is nowhere where it needs to be. And so for some people, that glass ceiling might be, like that. You're maybe a woman, or maybe you're somebody who's a little different, right? Because this is, again, it doesn't just affect women, this affects a lot of people, right? Have you ever been told, well, you're too much of this, or you're not enough of that, right? Well, somebody is placing some sort of a judgment or barrier on you because they don't think you fit the mold. And so because they don't think you fit the mold, they're not going to move you up, right? And so a lot of times people are kind of trapped or held hostage, if you will, in a particular role because they just are a little different. Now, I think and what you will find is really your competitive advantage is being unique. The problem is a lot of people don't realize that. But there are ways actually that you can work through this. Think of it like a little polishing, roughing or polishing off the edges, right? You've heard that term before, to where there are ways, actually pretty simple ways, that you just don't know about yet, for you to be able to break through those glass ceilings, whatever they might be. Now, like I said, for some people, it might be maybe you're a little bit different, right? You don't fit some particular mold, and as I said, there's ways to smash through that glass ceiling. Now, the problem is you might not actually know what it is, because here's the deal with glass ceilings. A lot of times, this is why sometimes people call these things blind spots. There are certain blind spots that you might have that are holding you back. Why are they holding you back? Because they're blind spots and you can't see them. And because you can't see them, you don't know how to fix them, right? So let me give you a little analogy to kind of explain that, right? So one of the CEOs that I worked for when I was in corporate loved to play golf. So all of our executive retreats, our quarterly meetings and stuff like that were held at these golf courses. So I got to play at some really great golf courses, even though I don't like golf. Okay. But I didn't want to make a complete fool of myself. So I have a set of golf clubs. In fact, they're still in the garage. I haven't touched them in 10 years, except for moving them from house to house as I've moved for the last 10 years. But, obviously I didn't want to like completely embarrass myself in front of all of my executive peers at the organization. So, I looked up videos, I did some other things. I would go to the driving range, I would hit the ball and try to practice. And what I would notice is, what, sometimes when I hit the ball, it would go to the right. And I can't even remember what that's called, but it's called something. You see, one's a hook and one's a slice. I can't remember which one. Other times it'd go to the left. Sometimes it'd go straight down the middle. And I couldn't figure out what the difference was. Sometimes I'd top the ball. Now, I kind of understood that that was because I was leaning back when I was going through my swing. But the problem was I couldn't see exactly what I was doing wrong because I wasn't observing myself. And so that's where a lot of times, having somebody look at you or having a coach, that's why people will hire people like, golf pros to help them learn how to play golf better, or, a tennis pro or other people like that, because having somebody from that other angle can actually help you see what some of those blind spots are, or maybe what some of the glass ceilings might be in your life, those barriers that are holding you back, right? And what I found after coaching executives now for many, many years, most of the time, what's holding people back is not what they think it is. It's usually something else that without help, they would never be able to figure it out. Okay, so what are some other examples of glass ceilings, right? Like I said, it might be that you're a little bit different. It's not, like I said. What I'm trying to do here is explain to you that this concept is broader than what a lot of people use it for, which is just women stopped in corporations, right? Yes, that happens a lot, but there's other things often that end up being people's glass ceilings. It could be your race, right? The color of your skin. It could be the religion, that you have. It could be where you grew up. Sometimes people are embarrassed about maybe some of their physical features or the way that they talk, right? I mean, I know several men that I've heard them say, I don't really like my voice. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? You've got a great voice, right? But maybe it's a Southern drawl or something like that, and they're a little embarrassed about it. Now, what ends up happening so much of the time is we're the ones holding ourselves back because of the insecurities that we have about those things. Have you ever thought about that? Hmm. So, like I said, I just want to, in the comments below, look at this and think about, just start thinking, what are maybe some things that are holding you back that maybe don't need to hold you back? Now, again, maybe it's some of those physical things. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's that, you just need a little polishing about, how you are reacting or interacting with people. Maybe you're reacting instead of responding because even though we like to think we're all grown up adults, most adults are very immature when it comes to emotion. And so, again, maybe you just need to learn a few little mindset practices to be able to help you in controlling your emotions and in being able to know how to respond instead of reacting, right? So, wanted to just kind of throw that out there with you today, kind of to introduce kind of a broader term of glass ceiling and how I'm going to start talking about it. So that way, when you hear it, you're not thinking, oh, he's only talking to women in corporations. I'm not just talking to women in corporations. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to all of us because there are those things that are holding us back. And my goal is, right, to help revolutionary professionals and executives smash those glass ceilings without conforming, right? Which means you don't have to pretend to be somebody else. You can smash those glass ceilings without having to fit in and do everything everybody else tells you that you got to do to be successful. In fact, the most successful people are the ones who don't fit the mold. Now, you might not believe me, but what I want you to do is I want you to stop and I want you to think about the people who actually change the world. They don't fit the mold, right? So earlier this week, I posted, about Here's to the Crazy Ones, the old Apple commercial. And if you go through and if you watch that, because that commercial actually shows you a lot of people who had huge, huge impacts in this world, they didn't fit the mold. And so what I'm here to tell you as well too is you don't have to keep doing that either. That's why, in the link above, if you want to talk to me, I would love to talk with you. If that's what you would like to do, I've got a link up there for my calendar, so you can get on and we can actually have a 30-minute coaching call together. If you want to do that, I would love to do that. If not, if that's not for you, there's another link that I included in the description as well to my Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group called Being Uniquely You is Your Competitive Advantage. Because what I will tell you, if you want to change the world, hell, even if you don't want to change the whole world, I'm sure you want to change your world, right? Around you. And the way that we do that is by being uniquely us, because that really is our competitive advantage. So join that Facebook group, get involved in the conversations that are going over there. Like I said, it's all free and it's confidential. It's behind the walls, because I know a lot of times when I post stuff on social media, people are reading it and they're like, "Oh, I totally agree with that," right? Because I can tell how many people are actually seeing stuff. A lot of people are seeing this, but a lot of people don't have the courage or want to, in a public environment, mark like or love or put comments in there. And I totally understand that, right? Because we shouldn't be completely vulnerable without knowing how to do it in the public space. And so that's another reason why that Facebook group is there, because in the Facebook group, it's a safe community, right? You're safe with me. I like you just the way you are. And we're going to talk about some of the ways even that you can I'll start showing you it's Friday afternoon. Okay. But I will start showing you some different ways to what I think I'm going to start calling like throwing gang signs and doing other stuff like that, to be able to share a little bit more about yourself, be more authentic in public without having to have the fear of being ridiculed or bullied. Because I will tell you, as a kid who was bullied when I was growing up, it ain't fun. It's not fun to be bullied as an adult either. But there are some different ways, because when you show some little things, when you do some things a little bit different, what you will start to do is you will start to attract the other people who believe and are like you. And so you no longer have to feel like you're alone. You start gathering people around you who are just as crazy as you are, just as crazy as me, right? That's another word that a lot of people will use for people who are a little bit different, but you're not crazy. It's actually the people who are considered to be sane and normal. They're the ones who are actually crazy. But I'll talk about that probably in another video. So with that, have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend. And we'll catch you on the next live or wherever I see you on social media.